Um, welcome to this session. I can see many people are joining. We're watching the numbers going up as we're starting this meeting. So if it's okay with everyone on the call, we're just going to wait for a few minutes just to allow more people to join. But people are joining every second. Great. Well, we've had around 90 people or so that have registered for the event. So yeah, we're really delighted and hopeful that this will be a really interesting and stimulating hours presentation and webinar for those of us that have joined. So I'm going to get it to, I think we're nearly at 50. So once we hit 50, I'm gonna start. Firstly, I'm just going to start by saying my name's Joe McLoughlin. I'm the Managing Director of Carium, and I joined Carium in June 2024. So I've been here 5 months now. Really enjoying the time here. Fabulous team that I work with. Lucky to work with really talented and committed people every day of the week. And we're doing some really exciting stuff. And I really think that at Carium we're at the forefront of the analog to digital switch, and we're going to demonstrate to you today how through the rSIM we're really enabling some new and interesting ways of organisations being able to accelerate their analog to digital journey, but rethink the offer at the same time and do some really interesting thing in their independent living schemes or in whichever way they deploy their telecare services. So, as I say, we've got around an hour today and we've got a fabulous panel. So I'm going to chair the session, but from after me, you'll be hearing from Gary Clark, who's our technical director, who's worked incredibly hard on this project and to bring this technology to market, working incredibly closely with CSL, who are ably represented by Max Stevens today. And he'll be taking you through really all of our processes and the way in which we initiated this new addition to our service catalogue, but also the work that we did with customers to ensure that it was a truly robust and resilient solution. Then we've got Stephen Gould, so you'll be hearing directly from somebody with first-hand experience from Southampton City Council of their experiences of using the rSIM and using that as part of their telecare service. And then we're delighted to say that we've got Tim Mulrey here from TSA, and he'll give the regulator perspective. Last but not least, Wayne O'Donnell, our head of product sales at Carium, will talk through the kind of key customer aspects and give you more insight into how you can order from us. And then we're going to wrap up with an interactive Q&A session. Max will be part of that session at the end of the session. Great. So just a little bit to set some context. We're all very much aware that, we're an increasingly digital society, and we feel that these always-on connected solutions that we're bringing to market and that we're delivering within the market are absolutely essential. We know within telecare that connectivity and that reliability can literally be a matter of life and death, in terms of how quickly you can respond from the ARC to those life-critical calls. Feels like we've been talking about the analog to digital switch for very many years, and we've seen some real challenges, I would say, over the last few years, and also a plethora of solutions that have come to market and ways in which people are looking at possibly extending the life of analog by using connectors, but also, completely swapping out their analog service and going to something much more flexible and hybrid in the way that they deliver their telecare. As the industry moves forward to full migration, we found earlier in this year that BT extended its deadline to January 2027. That is only a year on from the original deadline, and that was really brought about by concerns from users and from interested parties about readiness and about the impact it would have on vulnerable users. But it is worth highlighting that there are 600 other technology companies and telcos that haven't moved back their switch date. So, it's not just BT, it's much wider than that. So some of the things we've seen, shortfalls in funding and testing, also delayed investment into digital infrastructure have impacted. we obviously had the massive disruption caused by the pandemic and what that did to normal business processes and BAU infrastructure development. But also, we've also seen quite slow progress. It's been a process of people getting up to speed, of understanding what the switch is all about and employing the right people in organisations to drive it forward at an organisational level. Okay, so finally, just want to say that Careium really are an end-to-end solution provider. We provide the full kind of range of telecare services, from in-home visits to alarm receiving services 24/7, 365, out-of-hours services, so providing those on behalf of housing associations, but we also we develop and we manage all our own research and development and design and deliver our own product suite. We've got very great supply and we're working with organisations across the organisation, but our real key mission is really around our goal, which is enabling millions to live safe, active and enriched lives through technology and this always on human connection. So I'm going to pass on to our resident experts, but looking forward to a great session, and I'll be back with you between each speaker. Thanks very much.
Lovely, thanks Joe for setting the scene so nicely. Just going to share my slides with everybody now, and hopefully you'll be able to see those. Joe, perhaps you can just give us a nod that you can see those.
Yes, I can see those. Thanks, Gary.
Lovely. Okay, so it's a real pleasure to present to you all today. Such a great turnout on the call, and we're really grateful for you taking the time out of your day. We acutely understand that the telecare industry is a very busy place to be at the moment, so we understand that everybody's time's precious. As Joe said, my name's Gary Clark. I'm Careium's technical director, and I've had the pleasure of working for Careium for nearly 3 years now. Lead on technology and innovation and support within the UK business. But I've been working for the telecare industry now for just short of 20 years, spending 5 of those years leading the development of what I would class as the UK's market leading end-to-end digital group living solution. So I've been pretty well placed and navigated many of the challenges that digital's introduction has brought to the tech industry. A little bit of background about myself. My heritage in telecare goes back to the mere age of 6 years old. Work experience with my father, so tech is very much embedded in my bloodstream. And for those of you on the call today that know me, understand I'm extremely passionate about technology-enabled care, and that makes me very proud to have led the introduction of rSIM into the UK for Careium. So my slot on the webinar today talks you through an introduction at a high level of the technical detail in regards to rSIM. Now, I completely appreciate that everybody on the call today won't be technical. There's some people will, but some people won't be in technical roles. So I'll do my very best to keep it, at very much a higher level. And any more technical questions, please raise in the Q&A or separately reach out to me after the webinar. I can absolutely support with that. And Max is here from CSL also to support us with some of the technical detail. So we've got great pleasure in introducing rSIM to you, which stands for Resilient SIM. It's a solution in the industry that goes one step further, we believe. With rSIM, we introduce a solution that exceeds the functionalities of a typical roaming SIM card that you might see in an analog or digital telecare device today. It's a SIM that is resilient and consistently tests its end-to-end connectivity every 60 seconds, ensuring it remains operational when it's needed the most. And it ensures device connectivity and a smooth data transfer to a monitoring centre in case of an emergency alarm. Ultimately, I think rSIM provides a connectivity insurance. It's a unique solution in the telecare sector, tried and tested previously within the security sector. How does it work? So the SIM has a heartbeat test or poll, which is conducted every 60 seconds. Proactively, instead of reacting at the point when an actual alarm from the telecare device is triggered. And this ensures that connectivity is always established when the user requires assistance or generates an emergency alarm. So a little bit about its intelligence. The connectivity works in two layers. So there's a local network redundancy. Should any of the devices that we have fitted with an rSIM encounter a connectivity issue due to a local network problem, then the device, in conjunction with the SIM, will seamlessly transition to a new local mobile network, all while keeping the rSIM core profile unchanged during that period of time. And this functionality is much like you'd see from a standard roaming SIM card in a device today, but it's much quicker, slicker, and like I said, proactive functionality. Behind the local network redundancy, we also have core network redundancy. Now, to explain a little bit about that, should the issue be related to the core network operator that sits behind the local networks, and most people will be aware of Tele2 being one of those core network operators, then the rSIM will establish that it has that problem, and it will automatically, proactively switch to the backup SIM profile, which is a different core network on the SIM. And that will occur after the 10th missed SIM heartbeat or pole that I spoke of just a second ago. And that will ensure almost uninterrupted access across the network. And it's important to highlight that these SIM heartbeats are different to the device heartbeats that you might be used to. Those heartbeats that are sent to a device management platform every 2 minutes, in our case, iCare Online, they work in conjunction with each other, the device heartbeat and the SIM heartbeat, to ensure that the device can provide the utmost resilience. So for clarity, rSIM is one SIM card with two independent core network SIM profiles, a primary and a backup. And you'll all be aware on the call today, you know, we're all intelligent people, that some phones offer dual SIM functionality, and these are generally two pieces of separate plastic that sit on two different single networks. rSIM is different, it's smarter than your bog standard SIM or roaming SIM card that you might see in a device. So the rSIM solution, as I said, has two profiles on one SIM. The primary SIM profile, which many of you will recognise, is Tele2, and then the backup profile is a core network called Deutsche Telekom. Both CSL supported profiles, and it's important to note that because of these two profiles, the SIM card has two telephone numbers. So it's important that whenever you consider using the rSIM, that you just check with your alarm receiving centre provider that they support that two telephone number setup. And as Wayne will allude to a little bit later on, we have tested to many of the main alarm receiving centre providers, but it could be that your centre has a quirky setup, so it's always worth checking with that provider that they support that two telephone number scenario. So hopefully that gives you a good high level overview. If we imagine for just a minute, we fast forward to a real incident or outage on the Tele2 primary profile that sits on that SIM card, and it's automatically switched to the backup profile and maintained device connectivity. Following any outage resolution, after 12 hours on that backup SIM profile, the device will automatically revert back to the primary profile. And we advocate for that to happen because the primary profile offers greater resilience and support, hence the reason why you have a primary and a backup generally. At this stage, the affected SIMs will commence a return process to that primary profile. And while an individual SIM transition is nearly instantaneous, the batch process for hundreds or thousands of SIMs that may have been affected will be randomized within a 2-hour window. That protocol is essential for safely migrating SIMs back to that primary profile to prevent what we call a signalling storm. Now, that's quite a technical term. You might ask in the Q&A later what a signalling storm is. The best way I can explain it, because I'm from the south of the country, we have a very, very busy motorway in the M25. And everybody on the M25 is either joining that motorway or, you know, in rush hour, it gets incredibly congested. Well, every hour for that fact. And everyone's trying to get to a very similar destination. They go in the same way. In reality, if that traffic was better managed or people travelled at different times of day, for instance, we would get there faster and more efficiently. And that's really the way the rSIM return process has been designed the way it has, learning from previous outages. It will be extremely rare, you know, so that's important to highlight, for an outage on the network to last any more than 12 hours, which is why 12 hours has been selected for that migration of the affected SIMs back to the primary profile automatically. However, if it does extend longer than 12 hours on the primary profile, then it will try and revert from the backup to the primary automatically. It will realise it cannot, and then it will reside on the backup profile again for another 12 hours until it will try. But the most important thing here is that the device maintains connectivity, which it wouldn't have done before potentially. So I've done a lot of talking on those slides, and hopefully these graphics, you know, may better explain more than I can how the rSIM process works at a higher level. So at the top there, you can see that, you know, the rSIM is continuing to try and detect a loss of connection or issue, and that is done every 60 seconds proactively in the form of a poll or a heartbeat. If it does detect an issue with connectivity, then it allows enough time for the device to roam to another mobile local network, and you see those images there of the local networks that you'll be familiar with. However, the smart bit is if the loss of connection persists and it can't maintain a network connection for any reason, then it will switch to that backup or second independent core profile in Deutsche Telekom. And as I said on the last slide, after 12 hours, it will automatically revert to the primary profile, providing that issue is fixed or resolved. A slightly different graphic for everybody to, you know, fairly understand how the different timings or relevant timings involved in the process works. You'll see in this blue section here the 60-second proactive heartbeat on the Tele2 profile, and a red area here, which is what we would class as failure detection mode. So the failed 10 heartbeat or pulse on the SIM, which can't, you know, gain network connectivity, and then an automatic instant switch to the backup profile in that circumstance, which is the Deutsche Telekom section you see here. The connection delays of 5 minutes that you see, because that naturally, you know, tends to be always asked, what is that? Well, you see that on both sides because there is a 5-minute period of free activity where the SIM will be working. It will send alarm events if they're triggered, but the SIM just won't do any proactive polling during that 5-minute period. And that ensures that during that seamless kind of transition process, the SIM is not bombarded by, you know, activity that it doesn't need when it's trying to settle. We fast forward to the 12 hours where it will automatically then switch back to the backup, back to the primary profile, and that will be the randomized 2-hour window where it will transition those SIMs back. Hopefully that better explains it than me, and I think this graphic really does demonstrate the real value of rSIM. So the top section you see there is the you know, an outage that occurred genuinely, you know, on the Tele2 network some years ago on a standard SIM, where the downtime was around 8 hours, but, you know, acutely the actual downtime was only 3 hours, but it was the extended period of time following that it took to get the SIMs back to connect to the network again, which is a manual process. So like we said, the rSIM has been designed really intelligently so that downtime, because of the proactive switching and the proactive management of getting those SIMs back onto the network, reduces to 10 minutes. So a significant difference. So I hope you can see, from the slides that I've presented, the kind of high-level technical detail of how the rSIM works for your purpose, and that the introduction of the rSIM is really a revolutionary introduction for this sector. It's not something that we've had before, and we know that the introduction of digital has been confusing, complex, with Ethernet, with mobile, with PSTN, etc. This transition we've tried to make as easy as possible for customers. So along the way, we've produced a set of supporting literature which was available when we went live with rSIM, and these include frequently asked questions, a benefits flyer or infographic to give you the high-level benefits of the rSIM, a video available on our YouTube channel, the previous webinar recording that we did, a process guide for retrofitting SIMs, because that might be a preference for some customers, into existing devices, and also something our customers helped us with, which was process guides for adding rSIMs to monitoring platforms, because naturally with the two telephone numbers there may be a slightly different process. So all of that literature is available via your key account manager, or our support team will gladly assist you with that process if a transition is for you. Finally, I just wanted to highlight the field trial overview that we went through with many of our customers prior to the launch of rSIM. So prior to the customer tests, we did a substantial number of tests over a period of time with CSL, our partner, to gain confidence in the rSIM functionality within our devices, and really got hands-on with the technology, so we're able to guide and inform our customers on the processes and the technology. The field trials with our customers, many of which I've seen have signed up for the call today, took place over a 5 to 6 week period. And through the initial planning stages, we either approached our customers or they volunteered to be part of that test process. And that was over a geographically spread area across the country. And we did the logistics bit of sending the SIMs out, providing test devices free of charge if they needed them, and we circulated a test plan so that they could document their results and share it back with us, and we could quickly resolve any issues that were highlighted. Quite smartly, CSL assisted us with 2 planned outages on the test rSIMs. We had just over 200 rSIMs deployed in the country, and those planned outages on a Tuesday and a Thursday each week over that 5 to 6 week period allowed the customers to visibly see that the SIMs transitioned from the primary to the backup profile, and enabled them to test them to make sure that connectivity was still established during that period of time. And we communicated those outages regularly by email, when they were taking place, what times, etc., so customers could test the devices when they were present. The outages only affected rSIMs, the test rSIMs that we had in place, not the other SIMs in the live products that they had in the field. And we recommended testing on different technologies, i.e. the 2G technology, 3G, 4G separately, so that customers could see the devices roam to those different technologies, and also so that they could get faith that those different technologies were working through to their monitoring centres on the rSIMs. And we provided technical documentation to assist them, and support to assist them with how to lock those technologies down. And we encouraged as much testing as possible during that period of time. We had an average of 60 testers each week over around 20 to 25 customers, geographically spread across the country, as I said, so really great uptake, and enabled us to gather a really great set of results from that testing process. So any that are on the call today that were part of that test process was greatly appreciated. We also, as I said, worked very closely with customers that had different monitoring platforms from different providers, so that we could put the inputting guides together for adding rSIMs into monitoring platforms. And I say we have those available at exposure if anybody needs them. And our device management platform, we segregated the rSIMs into a completely different area of their organisation, so that they were completely separate, didn't cause any confusion, etc., etc., during that process for the 6-week testing process. And at the end, the test rSIMs were cancelled so that they no longer worked, and the customers were notified of that. So a really positive process as a whole. Any feedback that we got or issues that were highlighted during that period of time, pleased to say no substantial issues, were quickly troubleshooted and resolved. We are today live with well over 3,000 rSIMs, and Wayne will give you that breakdown very, very shortly. So that really is kind of the slot for me talking about the high level technical detail and what we, the process that we took with our customers for the live launch. I'm really delighted to have 2 individuals who agreed to join us on the webinar today, who are either part of the rSIM test process or have taken rSIM as part of their A to D transition that I explained. So I'm joined by Stephen Gould from Southampton City Telecare, who are one of Carium's ELISAs and rSIM customers, and also Tim Mulrey, Strategy and Transformation Lead at the TSA. And I can see, as prompted, you've brought your cameras on already, so I haven't got to do that bit. Thank you very much. And before I hand over to Stephen, I believe Joe's got his hand up for a quick question.
Yeah, thanks, Gaz. Thanks very much. I just wanted to highlight amazing presentations. Thanks so much, Gaz. So detailed, and I think it just should really give people confidence of the extensiveness of the testing and the approach that we've applied in bringing the rSIM to market. But I did want to just highlight to everyone that, you know, pop your questions in the chat. We are having a Q&A at the end. Charlene is going to moderate those questions as we go through the session, and what we'll do is we'll pick the kind of you know, the kind of brightest and best questions so that we can answer those later on in the session. But hand over now to Tim and Stephen. Thanks, Gaz.
That's lovely. Thanks, Joe. So Stephen, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. If for the audience, if you wouldn't mind starting, we could just give a brief overview of yourself, your role in Southampton and Southampton's tech service. That would be lovely.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. So yeah, I'm team leader at City Telecare at Southampton Council. We provide installation, monitoring and responding services for over 8,000 vulnerable people. In terms of coverage, we support service users in sheltered housing schemes across Southampton and Portsmouth, as well as dispersed alarm users in Southampton. Our relationship with Carium started in spring last year. We wanted to push on with our A to D transition, so we thoroughly sort of tested, compared a number of tech offerings from various manufacturers. We were impressed with the ELISA S. In particular, we liked the way it looks aesthetically. It's very easy on the eye, but it's very competitively priced. It was easy to program and install, and actually our account manager Lucy was brilliant throughout that process. Never pushy for orders, but very supportive, very forthcoming with any information that we needed, always promptly. So those are just some of the reasons.
Sorry, Steve. Incidentally, you started with the ELISAs with the single SIM inside. Yes. So interestingly, what was your rationale for switching to the rSIM when it became available?
Yeah, well, we first learned about the rSIM in this webinar this time last year, in fact. Seeing Andy from South Lanarkshire talking about his experience during the pre-launch testing, and hearing yourself, Gary, talk about the resilience benefits. And you can quite clearly see that it was a sort of next generation product, and it was going to add layers of resilience to our service user and to the services that we were able to offer. So the benefits were clear from that webinar. And so, yes, soon after that, we were receiving the ELISAs with the rSIM installed.
And do you have any view of looking at retrofitting, potentially the rSIM into your devices in the field? Because naturally that would increase the resilience in some of your devices that you've already got available.
Yeah, so actually we've had that discussion, and we're looking to start retrofitting the units which are returned and which we're turning around to go back out into customers' homes. So we're looking to start doing that now. We've been sent a batch of rSIMs in order to do that, the little sticker packs to slap on the back once they're upgraded. And so yeah, having had that period now of stability and proof that they are working very well now, we're looking to start retrofitting them going forward. Yeah, every time one's returned, just to add that sort of layer of resilience to the existing service users.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the insight. And I know you wasn't necessarily involved in the sort of early customer testing, but from your view moving forward to support your clients, how do you finally feel that the rSIM will support the telecare service moving forward?
Yeah, but it's just that extra resilience again. Just that peace of mind as a service provider to know that. I mean, technically downtime should be almost non-existent, and we've got every faith that it does what it says. So far it's been brilliant. So yeah, it's just that peace of mind and reassurance for us as a service provider to know that what we're putting out to our customers is of the highest possible standard.
And you guys at Southampton operate the JonTech platform, and you've had relatively no issues, with those devices connecting to the JonTech platform, fairly quick, rapid, etc. since you've deployed rSIM.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in terms of connection to the ARC, yeah. If anything, it's even quicker. It was quick already. It's even quicker still to program and then subsequently, connecting to the ARC. Yeah, very, very slick. No problems in that respect.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Steve, for your really valid feedback, because you've been fantastic in telling us when there's something that's not working for you, and we've been able to work with you closely, visit site, and I'm fortunate being very close to Southampton, so we've managed to build up a really good sort of technical relationship in that circumstance. And thanks for your support on the webinar today, really appreciated. We'll look forward to speaking to you on the Q&A a little bit later on.
Cheers, Gary.
Over to you then, Tim. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. For the audience, it would be great. I mean, many people probably do know you already, somewhat of a celebrity in the sector in your role. You work with so many customers. So, but for anybody that doesn't know you, perhaps you could just give a brief insight into yourself and your role you play within the TSA.
Thanks, Gary. You've definitely overstated my maybe some infamy in there as well, but. Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Tim Mulrey. I work for the Tech Services Association, or the TSA for short. We're an industry body that runs primarily the QSF, which is the certification process for all stakeholders in the industry, guaranteeing quality and safety in technology-enabled care. But my role specifically is around supporting all stakeholders, really, regardless of membership, around analog to digital, and more sort of the operational side of it, I guess, rather than I leave some of the strategic decisions to others. But yeah, definitely getting down into the nitty gritty of it, and that's why getting involved in this particular process was really good. Thank you for the invite.
Not at all. So, I mean, you were involved in some of the brief tests with the rSIM, before we launched it. But just initially, naturally, there's been some real sort of concern in the sector in past sort of months and years about digital resilience and how mobile plays a stable part in the telecare journey moving forward. And TSA have done a lot of work on digital end-to-end resilience, included now within the QSF, etc. But perhaps you could just give us a sort of insight into TSA's perspective around digital telecare resilience and your guidance around digital telecare.
Yeah, thanks. it has been a learning curve for everyone, particularly when I think about some of the guidance that the TSA produced kind of back in the day with the support of Max from CSL and other industry partners as well, where it's just come a long way since then. So we you know, for example, my understanding was it back in the day, well, it was a roaming SIM, so it could, if one network went down, another one could come up, and didn't really have that sort of understanding of the backbone that you've you know really highlighted today, that the reliance that we have on the likes of Tele2 or KPN or Deutsche or whatever. And what we've seen is and this reached a kind of a peak probably mid 2023 when we did see a number of outages of various types. But I guess what in the analog world, what we were used to is maybe a BT exchange went down for a few hours, or there was some other issue which tended to be more regional in impact or local. Whereas with the SIM stuff, because we were talking about hundreds of thousands of SIMs going down across the UK, it had much bigger impact, as you've described. So the onus was really on manufacturers like Carium, service providers like CSL to come up with solutions really that it's never going to be 100% coverage, but both the development of dual SIM, the development of rSIM has been significant steps forward in increasing the resilience of a sector that is becoming increasingly reliant on cellular connectivity. And so yeah, that's been great, and we've obviously developed our guidance and our standards in line with the need to be more resilient, reduce those single points of failure as much as possible.
Absolutely, and TSA are doing some great work around making sure customers are have full awareness about the telecare journey and how resilient should be. So as a supplier, we really appreciate that, and I'm sure as a customer they do too. Just touching on the brief test that you did with the rSIM, so we wanted to get TSA involved in the testing process, so we provided you with a device in the rSIM. What was kind of your brief feedback about the limited test that you did do on the rSIM and the visibility that you got?
Yeah, I mean, it was over a period of weeks, and whilst I couldn't dedicate significant periods of time to it, there was definitely a number of occasions when I go, right, it's 9:30 on a Tuesday or a Thursday, I know that there's an outage coming, so I'm going to start putting some calls in, and and what I found was essentially that it was pretty much seamless. I couldn't detect any. So even though the core network was kind of being failed over, if you like, there was no perceptible kind of issues that I could tell in the testing that I was doing. Again, it wasn't to the extent of maybe what obviously Stephen was doing and other people, but what I saw was really a leap forward for those devices that aren't, if you like, dual SIM devices where you've got a single SIM but you need two core networks on that single SIM. I think that was a significant step forward. So it was brilliant to see that in real life.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess we're in a place in the industry now where broadband deployment is relatively low across our age demographic that we're deploying devices to. So so like you said earlier, that technology, the mobile technology, is going to become ever more important, and the resilience of that technology is going to be ever more important. And I know you personally in many forums are really trying to push that agenda. So we appreciate it, and hugely appreciate your input on the webinar today and our previous one that you were available for as well. So thanks ever so much, Tim. Any further comments?
No, I think you're right there. You touched on it slightly with the development of kind of Ethernet connectivity, and I know from your perspective with the ELISA, there's a lot more ways of getting to the outside world. And I think my plea is to everyone on this call who has that responsibility for purchasing devices, whatever the manufacturer is, whether it's a Carium or a Chiptech or a Telealarm or whatever that device is, that really think about the ways of getting to the outside world. So if something does happen, what are those mitigations? So really understand that if there's a cellular network failure, will it fall over to something else? If there's a SIM backbone failure. Just really understand that, and I think that's something from a standards perspective that we're asking everyone to really take a closer look at. So thank you.
Yeah, really great advice. Okay, well, thanks so much again for your time, Tim. We'll look to invite you back on for the main Q&A in 5 or 10 minutes or so. So we'll speak to you in a little bit. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so you'll be happy to know that is it from me on the technical detail now. So I'm going to rejoin for the Q&A in a little while, but at this point I'll pass over to Wayne, our head of sales, to just summarise on the benefits of rSIM and how the sales team can help you moving forward. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks, Gary. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see so many people have joined. I'm going to share my slides.
Yeah, we can see those, Wayne. Thank you.
Sorry, technical support. I've lost my notes. Gary, just confirm, is that in presenter mode?
It is in presenter mode, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Hi everyone. Sorry about that. So I've worked in the industry for 20 years. So yeah, 10 years working at John Tech, providing training and after sales support to the call handling operators and providing solutions and yeah, a bit of TLC. And then 10 years at Carium, providing telecare product support, training and hand-holding through the analog to digital switch. So this is two SIM cards in one. So it is a game changer. I am really excited about it. The main advantage being during a SIM outage, the SIM will continue to work on the backup profile automatically. So it doesn't need to be during an alarm activation for the SIM to detect that there's an outage. It's all done automatic. And it's a smarter, more intelligent way to ensure the end user is connected to the alarm receiving centre as quickly as possible. And from a service user's perspective, they're none the wiser. There's no red LED lights on the unit, or there's no announcement, because that can cause panic sometimes. So they don't need to know. We can tell from the DMP, from the iCare Online, if the SIM card is swapped to the backup profile, but from the service user, it's seamless. Compatibility. So the rSIM is compatible with our ELISA family of 4G products, and we will look to integrate this into our flagship Abbey GPS device moving forward. So therefore, if you do have any ELISA products in stock or out in the field, the rSIM is compatible with these. And it's easy to retrofit, and we include a sticker which can just demonstrate that the work has already been completed and the unit has been upgraded with the rSIM. In terms of alarm receiving centre compatibility, we have done various tests with different platforms, and Tunstall SAS, the testing is still in progress. The iCare Online, our DMP, the iCare Online screenshot shown, we've added some changes to the product details page, which shows the two different SIM CLI numbers, and it also shows you the active SIM which is currently being used, either the primary or the backup. We wanted to share some customer testimonials with you as well. So service provider Milton Keynes City Council, and they're explaining that the rSIM has provided that extra resilience and helped in areas as well where the signal is poor. So thank you for your feedback on that, Helen. and also Stephen at Mediquip, who helped get the rSIM to where it is today and participated in crucial field testing. And Mediquip witnessed seamless connectivity during simulated SIM outages. So this is new technology that provides reassurance to service users, families, social care professionals and commissioning teams. Kerry are also pleased to announce that we now have a scheme solution. So Monmouthshire Housing Association has provided a case study on this, and the solution that we offer includes interlinked smoke detectors, or in Monmouthshire's case, we integrated with the existing ACO smoke detectors. It provides wireless door entry, and again, it uses the ELISA hubs with the new dual rSIM technology. So in summary, what are the key benefits of the rSIM solution? So it provides connectivity insurance with heartbeat checks every 60 seconds, automatically shifts to the backup SIM profile upon detection, so significantly reducing that downtime. Proactively updates both core and local networks, not just when an alarm is triggered. It provides the additional resilience required for a digital telecare product, and it's compatible with all our ELISA family of 4G devices. So we're here to help. Please contact either myself, Lucy, Warren or Tracy if you require any further information. And we're happy to set up a meeting either over Teams or we can arrange a visit in person. Whatever works best for you. We'll be as flexible as we can. We just want to make this improvement change run as smooth as possible, and we'll work closely with you to make that happen. Because I believe that communication and collaborative partnership working is key. I'm going to hand you back over to Joe for the question and answer session.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Wayne. No, great presentation. And yeah, I would just encourage anybody that's interested. You know, we've got lots of things out on trial with customers. You know, we're happy to answer any questions. And, you know, we've got a great team that can really knowledgeable in this area and got real world experience. So just reach out to any of those as per Wayne's final slide. Great. So we're going to move on now to the Q&A, and we're going to bring Max Stevens back in for this. So who else we've got? We've got Gaz back in to join us, and Tim.
Stephen, Tim, if you could just pop your cameras on.
Great stuff. Look at that. There we go. It's all popping into view. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm probably going to field the questions, but maybe if there's any here that just looking at some of these for the first time, if any of these are kind of, I'm not quite sure who to answer, I'll just ask Gaz who wants to take this one. Right. Okay. So we've actually got an end user on, so that's great. Good variety of people on today. So Derek has said quite recently changed to a care IP unit, which uses broadband as the base communications method. With a oh, hang on, I'm going to do Seymour, sorry. With a SIM as backup, when broadband fails, all relevant equipment has UPS protection. Is this just a short-term solution for Carium, or will it stay in place? And then a subsequent question is, how does the rSIM unit perform if local power fails? Gaz, do you want to go with that one?
Yeah, I'll take that. So, so the ELISA devices, as Wayne showed on his slides, we got 3 different types. You know, very much a supplier of choice for different connectivity options. So, if you take an ELISA S, for instance, that just has the rSIM capability, then you know realistically that would be unaffected during a power outage because it's got a long battery backup time of up to 72 hours. And you're not reliant in any way on the broadband router to make that connectivity. If you do have Ethernet connections, then you know we'll smartly configure those devices to you know utilize perhaps the broadband as the primary path, and if that broadband goes down due to the power outage, then the SIM will take over, and again the device will have that long battery backup time to support the connectivity.
Brilliant, very succinct, Gaz. Anybody else want to add anything? Max, does that cover it from your side?
No, yeah, that covers it from my side. I mean, the only other thing I would say is the question about whether that's just a short-term solution for Cairn or will it stay in place. You know, the existing stuff will stay in place as well, and that solution that Derek's got in his house today will continue to work using the broadband as well.
Yeah, and it's important to be transparent, Derek, but you said you had a Care IP. The rSIM isn't compatible with the Care IP because it's only 2G technology, whereas the rSIM is compatible with all of our ELISA suite of devices. So, you know, if you would like to look at upgrading that device moving forward, then naturally we can support you directly with that.
Great stuff. Yeah, we can drop you a message separately on that. So thanks for the question, Derek. Okay. On to Kenny next. So please, can I ask which networks does the rSIM work on? 2G, 4G, and will it have VoLTE capabilities?
Yeah, so I can answer that if you want, Gary. Yeah, so the rSIM on both profiles works across all UK networks for 2G, 3G, and 4G. Obviously, with the caveat that 3G is being switched out over the next couple of years. But yeah, you know, certainly on 2G and 4G, O2, Vodafone, and EE, and then 3 as well on 4G because they don't have a 2G network. The rSIM will have VoLTE capabilities. We're testing at the moment in labs with Cairn the integration with VoLTE and the ELISA. And once that lab testing is complete, Cairn will be ready to launch VoLTE onto the ELISA devices, both for normal SIMs and for rSIM.
Just to add, you know, we're working on that development as we speak to ensure that VoLTE is capable, you know, in the very recent future.
And just to add from my side as well, that we'll take that on as after sales support. That we'll do the firmware updates on behalf of the service users. So we'll roll that out in batch. So we'll take on that exercise. Excellent.
Thanks, Wayne. No, that's great. Yeah, we've got a question here from Faith. Yeah, what is the timeline related to testing with Tunstall SAS?
So I've been heavily involved in the testing with Tunstall SAS. It's been slower than we would like, you know, being perfectly transparent. But we've made some good progress. So last week we did deliver some successful calls to Tunstall's development platform. So I would like to say in the next few weeks that we'll have, you know, complete connectivity into the SAS platform, and we'll naturally keep you updated during that process.
Brilliant. Okay. I suppose, you know, question back to Faith. Well, not really a question back to Faith. I mean, anybody that's working with, you know, Tunstall or, you know, has the Tunstall ARC, you know, we would just encourage, you know, your provider there, Tunstall, to work with us and kind of accelerate the testing that we're already doing. We found that very beneficial. Obviously, Wayne highlighted earlier on that the platform, the technology obviously works with Sky Response, works with Jontech, works with UMO, so and also works with the Apello system. So we'd encourage our customers to, you know, speak to their ARC provider and just say, you know, we really like the look at this technology. Can we encourage you to speed up the testing and get it integrated so we can properly trial it? So you'll help gratefully appreciate it there, I'm sure.
Yeah, so, I'll absolutely back up that comment, Joe. You know, any customer pressure to your provider would be greatly appreciated, and you know, shout out to Tim, who has really helped us, you know, drive that kind of integration and testing forward with Tunstall. So you know, appreciate your support on that, Tim.
No problem. I think it's probably worth saying that some supply or some ARC platforms will have a certification process, if you like. So you'll be able to go to them with a product and say, we want to integrate this product with the platform. Off the top of my head, I think UMO and probably Sky Response leading the way on that. And then with other platforms, it tends to be they're saying, well, you know, we need a customer to kind of approach us, and it's, you know, and then we'll work with that customer and the manufacturer. So yeah, I would echo those comments and say that we've kind of pushed Tunstall along a bit from a TSA perspective. It's really about interoperability. So we've got to make, drive the industry towards being able to use whatever device you want to with whatever platform you want to. And so we sometimes need the voice of you as the customer to say, look, Tunstall or Legrand or whoever it is, we need this integration to take place. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no, excellent point, Tim. I think we all recognise, this is a multi-person, multi-responsibility kind of approach. Really, we're just interested in getting a really resilient solution out to the market, and whilst at the same time encouraging interoperability and suppliers and manufacturers to work together. So yeah, anything that anyone on this call can do, really appreciated. Okie dokie. So I can see we're getting into the final few minutes, but we've got another question here from Liam. So hi all, what platform would you recommend for ELISA with rSIM? Or Jontech, Umo or Sky Response? Are the ELISAs all Scape integrated with each platform? And thanks in advance for that. Great question. Thanks, Liam.
I'll take that one. So Liam, I mean, we don't have any preference of platform that you connect with. We, as Wayne demonstrated, we are integrated with Umo, with Jontech, with Sky Response, and very shortly, hopefully, Tunstall and Apello. So they are all Scape devices. They can talk over the standard VPNs that are in place from CSL to the relevant monitoring centres, but also on the ELISA devices with rSIMs, we also support the TLS secure connectivity as well. So really, that is the point that Tim made there, is that interoperability is hugely important to Kerium, and we wanted to make sure that the devices, were available to every flavour of platform with every flavour of security method. So no preference. And if you want to discuss that further, do feel free to reach out directly and I can help you along that journey.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks very much, Liam. So with the final few minutes to go, we just had a question pop up from Rebecca. So Rebecca asks, we use Innovation as our ARP. Does the rSIM require an update to our Umo web user platform to be able to add the ELISA S with the new SIMs?
Again, good question, and I'll happily take that one as well. No update that we're aware of is available. There are other dual SIM solutions that Innovation is compatible with. So the rSIM has fitted in quite nicely with existing platforms. But what we do have, as I explained earlier, is what we class as an inputting guide for the rSIM into all of the platforms, Umo being one, and we're very fortunate as Kerium to have the Umo platform as well, so we've got good experience with that, and we can provide you with that documentation and support, if you wanted to entertain a test device, for instance, initially, so that you're much more comfortable moving forward adding those to your platform, but a very similar process to any other.
Amazing. Okay, I hadn't spotted this question actually from Vivian. It's the way that the questions get sorted in the Q&A section. So Vivian asks, please can I ask how both pathways are tested for voice and data if the primary route is successful? Can I just say these are fab and incredibly technical questions. It's great to get this level of engagement from our audience here. So okay, should we try Max on that? I'm sure you could answer that, Gaz, but let's give Max one as well.
Yeah, sorry. So I did actually just reply to this in the chat because I think the room that I'm in, I'm about to be kicked out of. But so I'll try and be quick because appreciate we're getting to the end of the end of the meeting. But sorry, this is Vivian's question. So testing both pathways, we use what we call a simulated outage, which doesn't actually take the SIM offline. And I'm going to bore some people with technical stuff, so I can call you, Vivian, and give you more information if you want more detail. But basically, what we do is stop the SIM from receiving an acknowledgement to its heartbeat. So the SIM thinks that it doesn't have a data connection, even though it does. And that will then mean that the SIM switches over to the second profile, and people are able to test the second profile as well. We do this or we did this during field testing scheduled, like Ari said earlier, on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And our plan is to have sort of more regular slots where this happens going forward once the devices are in the field as well. And that's something that we're picking up with Carium and other customers at the moment about when and how we would do that, to sort of have these scheduled outages where they switch over. But I guess the thing to sort of clarify there is that these planned outages, scheduled outages, they're simulations. So the devices themselves don't actually lose connectivity during that period, and the actual time to switch from one profile to another we see takes 7 seconds.
Brilliant.
And I know we're running out of time, but just to very briefly add to that, we have the heartbeat in place on the device management platform as well, which can help highlight any connectivity issues. There's also test alarms, voice test alarms that can be sent, which would naturally test the voice path as well from the devices. They're still available from the old analog technology. And also, Vivian, we have copious amounts of alerting in place in our back end, in the event that there is any full scale outage. But in reality, the client, the end user, they shouldn't see any difference to the device. That's the key to it, really. And we would just know in the background that there is an issue that is taking place. So very proactive, very sort of on the down low, that you would notice an issue occur, which is it can only be a positive thing for an end user, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Gaz. So going to stop there. I can see great that most people have stayed with us till 12, but we're going to drop off now. But can I just thank all of our presenters today, and a big thank you as well to Charlene for putting all this together. There's a lot of work that goes on in the background to make sure that these things happen on time and in the way that they have, and we handle it in a very sort of courteous and professional way. So thanks to everyone. Big shout out to Stephen as well